Hey guys, War Gamester here. I'm going to take you through the first hour in the forest on the hardest difficulty. Survival is about how you spend your time, so on hard survival, it's vital that you spend your time doing the right things and doing things right. If you do the right things and do things right, you're going to have an easy time surviving in the forest. So let's take a look. Right now the game is loading. And the whole idea is that you're collecting everything you can, crafting everything that's useful with the resources you have, and leaving a trail of useful things like rest points, resupply points, things like that. So right when the plane lands, the most important thing is to get medication to start healing as quickly as possible. And then after that, just pick everything up that's inside the plane. And once you get outside the plane, then it becomes a question of what you're going to spend your time doing. And so the first thing that you want to do when you get out of the plane. So a note on eating: only eat 3 of the foods, not 4. Calories matter, but it's not a huge concern early in the game. It's only if you're playing a longer game. So the first step is to take everything from the suitcases, since they have cloth and snacks. And so right off the bat there, you see you've got 4 sodas and a few snacks, which are gonna be enough to survive if something goes dramatically wrong. And so once you have 4 or 5 sticks, you want to make an improved stick. The improved stick can prevent almost all of the damage from being hit by the early game cannibals. And you do that with the blocking there. And also the spear just saves you time collecting things. Ideally you want an improved spear, but you need bones to get that. And the easiest way to kill cannibals is with a bow using headshots. So what we're doing now is we're building a shelter, and it serves a couple of purposes. First, it gives you a marker for the plane, so you can always get back to the plane. The plane is going to occasionally respawn things like meds and sodas and occasionally some booze. It's not a bad place to check in. You can't really live there because the cannibals know where it is. And if you try to defend there, they'll just throw more and more at you. So what we're doing now is we're just collecting sticks and building an easy set of basic stuff as quickly as possible. And once you have the spear and the improved stick, you're fairly safe from the cannibals. You do have to run because you can't kill them quickly. And in very hard, the only real good way to kill cannibals is headshots with a bow. And so once we have the camp set up here, the reason we're doing all this is because right now there's sticks. We want to make sure that we use the sticks for useful things. And so like a drying rack is useful because it gives you food. The water collector is useful because you can get water, and that way you'll never have to worry about being hungry or thirsty. Frankly, food in the forest is easy. Once you have enough rabbit pelts, you want at least 4 rabbit pelts, and the first 4 rabbit pelts go for a stick bag. If you get a stick bag, it means that you can carry 20 sticks, and 20 sticks is enough to build a shelter, and you can build that shelter anywhere. As long as you don't waste leaves, if you just collect a normal amount of leaves from using your spear to stab trees, you'll always have at least 26 leaves. So if you have a full stick bag and more than 26 leaves, you can build a shelter literally anywhere to get sleep. Sleep is how you stave off insanity. Sanity isn't really ultimately a big deal in the game. In fact, there's no known downside to sanity. At least none that I've ever seen. If there is, it's got to be only at the very low levels. I never let it get there. It's just so easy to build a shelter and get sleep. And sleep is how you recover most of your sanity. You can also recover sanity by listening to the cassette recorder that you find on the yacht. By eating regularly. And staying out of the caves. But sleep is the main way to recover sanity. Alright, so what we're doing here is we're just finishing up the touches on the camp area. Once we do that, we are looking to get weapons. I'm cutting down one tree so that we can build birdhouses, because feathers are arrows and arrows are life. The more arrows that you have, the more enemies you can kill, and killing enemies is always good because you can use bones, or in the case of the mutants, you can use the creepy armor. Creepy armor is best armor in the game. If you can get 10 creepy armor, you're basically a tank. You can just walk right through a big mess of cannibals and mutants and survive for a reasonable enough time to blow them up or whatever you need to do. Tree sap collector is important if you're making lights. You also need tree sap to make the repair tool. Again, lights and repair tool are only for when you're digging in. That's usually later on in the game. Early on, you're trying to solve food and water and protection. Nothing makes your game take longer than constantly being killed by the mutants. And a bench is an easy way to have a place where you can quickly restore stamina. Frankly, you don't really need it because chicory is all over the place. You're going to be literally tripping on chicory. And chicory takes care of hunger and energy. You can just eat straight chicory and not have any problems. And the thing is, it kind of double doses the food. I mean, food and hydration are just not a problem once you have the pouch and the water skin. And you get your water skin from killing deer. In this video, we don't do any deer hunting. But if you do see a deer, throw your spear at it. If you hit a deer with a spear, it's a one-shot kill every time. The secret to killing deer is throwing your spear at it. You can try to get a headshot with a bow, but it doesn't always work. The spear always works. If you throw your spear at the deer and it hits it, the deer automatically dies. Alright, so we see some cannibals. We don't really want to fight them, so we just get the stick out. And if they attack, the stick keeps us from being damaged. But really the smart thing to do is finish up and move on. So the next thing we need, obviously, is weapons. So what I'm doing now is looking for the film crew camp. Which, this is not the film crew camp, this is like the auxiliary camp. There's a pot. Whenever you pick up a pot, if you're near water, just fill it. Because a pot full of polluted water gives you options. If you have time, you can light a fire and boil the water and drink it, and that restores your hydration to 100%. In a worst case scenario, you can drink the polluted water out of the pot. A lot of people don't know that you can carry the water around in the pot. It won't spill out when you're moving. So right now we're just heading for the film crew camp. And if you're playing very hard, if you're playing hard survival, I got to assume that you know the map pretty well. So getting to the film crew camp is one of the easiest ways to solve the survival problem. Once you get there, you can collect arrows, and a crafted bow is the first thing you should craft once you get rope. So your first rope goes to a crafted bow, which is just a rope, a stick, and a piece of cloth. It's actually really easy to craft a bow, and that bow is your bread and butter for most of the game until you get either the crossbow or the improved bow, which are slightly better. But a regular bow has an aiming point on it, and it makes it a little bit easier to actually get headshots. A headshot with any arrow on a cannibal is an automatic kill. And later on you'll see a demonstration of that. It's the key to survival in hard survival. So we got to the film crew camp and we're collecting arrows. We don't have a bow yet, but a bow is just one rope away. And I got disoriented and I'm looking for the beach. The beach has a little boat that's got a rope in it, and I usually go to that rope the first time to get the rope for the bow. Usually there's some cannibals, which I just, from here on, once I get the bow, the cannibals are bones. You need bones. And you need to be able to get headshots with the bow on cannibals so that you can get the bones. Once you have the bones, then you can make an improved spear, and you can start making armor for yourself. So I came back to the film crew camp because I can use it to figure out where the beach is. If you know the map, you just go the direction I went. I temporarily blanked out where I was, so I spent an extra couple of minutes going the wrong direction, but we're back at it now. Okay, and it looks like there's one of those fast early cannibals running around. Not a problem. Cannibals are actually fairly easy to dodge, and the key is you just run slightly at them and they will overshoot when they try to attack you. So I mean, I believe it to be a problem with the AI, because you can maneuver so that you never get hit. And there's a rabbit there. I missed it, but that rabbit is extremely key. The first 4 rabbit fur are your lifesavers, because you get the stick bag, which is vital. As I said before, once you can carry 20 sticks, you can, and keep the bag full, you can build a shelter anywhere at any time. And here, I got hit, and I didn't need to. I was trying to block, but for some reason the block button wasn't working. And it kind of threw me for a loop. So I got some meds, and now I'm just sort of maneuvering to try to avoid getting hit. Luckily they started fighting each other, which was enough time for me to grab the rope and run out into the water, where they don't like to go. The cannibals don't like to go in the water. They will eventually, but they don't like to. And so it gave me enough time to craft a bow, and now it's on. So I got my meds down. I'm slowly healing, and now all I gotta do is dodge cannibals and headshot them. But for some reason my aim is just horrible, and it took me a minute to dial it in. But once you do, it's just dead cannibals and bones. And you can see how I'm dodging them, just sort of stepping towards them and to the side, and they overshoot and miss. Okay, so that one's down. I'm going to recover the arrows. I'm not going to try to move the body right now, but we definitely want to kill them as fast as we can. But my aim is just atrocious at this point. I'm not really sure why. Might be thinking too much about the video. Might have had a rough night. I don't know. Anyway, now that they're dead, it's time to make armor. Except I don't think I have enough cloth to make armor at this point. And there's the rabbit there. That rabbit is important. So I would say at this point, this isn't really an ideal beginning, but it's an acceptable beginning because we got, at this point we have the bow and arrow, which is really the key to survival. Because you don't get mutants until the 7th or 8th day, I can't remember. But cannibals are easy with the bow and arrow, especially the early brown guys as opposed to the blue guys. But at this point we have a rabbit skin. We're letting the bones cook out. We can collect small rocks. I spotted a turtle. The turtle has the turtle shell, which is a water collector. It hasn't rained yet. Once it starts raining, the water collectors are essential for having a quick and easy source of hydration. Also, if you can hunt successfully 2 deer, you can use the 2 deer skins and a couple ropes to make a water skin. So here we're trying to make armor, but I don't have enough cloth. So we're full of sticks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to improve my spear, which takes 3 of the bones and only 2 cloth. And an improved spear will chop a stick tree down in just 1 hit, so that's a time saver. I like to use the weak spear myself because the more hits you get, you usually get more leaves. And early on, collecting tons of leaves is good. It's a good thing. But if I have an improved spear, then that's what you're using. But anyway, the principle is always build the best thing you can with whatever resources you have. And so at this point I have an improved spear and a bow and arrow and a lot of bones to very quickly make armor once you get cloth. So because of the cloth problem, the next thing to do really is to get into the caves and grab some cloth and some of the goodies from the caves. And it's starting to get dark. As you move, just whenever you encounter a suitcase, always break it open and take it. Don't worry about being overloaded with things. Being overloaded is a good thing in this game. So we're running basically in the direction of the shelter we built at the plane. The sun is beginning to set and we're going to start to lose our light. And it turns out the easiest thing to do probably is just get back to where you know there's a shelter for sure. I'm running here mainly because I'm not really afraid of the cannibals. The cannibals on the first day are usually not super serious. Even a fight at night is likely to go your way. It can be dangerous though, that should be noted. Once I get near to the plane, once I can see the plane, I'll start slowing down and sneaking a little bit, hopefully not to attract the cannibals. And I do want to finish the water collector. once you finish a water collector and it starts raining, you've got rainwater, and that'll last a couple of days. And early on, you're always looking for little edges until you get the main gear, like the water skin by killing 2 deer, or the pouch from your second and third rabbit pelts. The first rabbit pelt should go for the stick bag, though. Once you have a stick bag full of sticks, you can build a shelter anywhere. So basically, we're just sort of milling around, picking things up, collecting whatever's in front of the plane until the sun finally sets and we're able to sleep. One thing to point out, though, the very first night, you have to experience some of the night before it lets you sleep. It's critical that the moment you can sleep that you do so. And the reason is because if you start to get your sleep schedule synchronized with the day and night cycle, you can pretty much play the game entirely during the day, which is usually good. Later on, after you collect a lot of tree sap and a lot of skulls, you may build lit areas and things that have lights on them. And that means that you don't have to worry about your sleep schedule quite as much. But early in the game, you wanna try to sleep as soon as it gets dark, or as soon as the game lets you once it gets dark. And so I was looking around to finish off the stick sled. Couldn't find that last stick. It was getting late, and I figured that it was almost time to sleep, and that's more important than finishing the stick sled, or the log sled. The log sled, by the way, can carry sticks, rocks, and bodies. Night, night. What a beautiful morning. Whenever you wake up after sleeping, you're always hungry and thirsty. You actually have quite a bit of time to find food and something to drink. In fact, once you get the pouch and start filling it with berries, blackberries and blueberries make excellent hydration as well as food source. But at this point, you have the slingshot and you have the bow. Whenever you see a rabbit, the first 4 rabbits, as I've said a few times, are critical. Because of the stick bag, the pouch, and the small rock bag. But right now we're just kind of finishing up the camp. A slingshot is your best tool, your best weapon for hunting rabbits and lizards. You can use the bow, and it's almost as effective, but I'd rather miss with a rock than miss with an arrow. Arrows are just too critical for use against large groups of cannibals. Rocks, you can take it or leave it. Incidentally, you can use the slingshot to kill the babies that the Virginias make. That's something I found out fairly recently. I used to use a bow and arrow, but slingshot works too on the babies. We won't actually see any of that in this video. Here, these 3 ropes are super important, and that rabbit just sort of sacrificed itself. That was fortunate. Every once in a while, a glitch works for you. But anyway, the most important thing is to use 2 ropes, 3 cloth, and a rabbit fur to make a stick bag. And once you have that stick bag, you're good. I mean, you can make a shelter anywhere, as long as you have 14 sticks and enough leaves. Since I'm super hungry, it's time to eat something. And I got that raw small meat. Small meat is always the thing you want to eat first, because you can't put it on a drying rack and it'll spoil. I also put the pot of polluted water there. If you boil the polluted water, it becomes clean water and becomes drinkable. I've only got 1 rabbit pelt at this point after making the stick bag, which is the most important thing. The second rabbit pelt will give us enough to make a pouch, and once we have a pouch, we'll be able to collect berries, and then all of our worries about food and hydration will disappear. Berries both feed you and hydrate you. And you can carry 60 berries, 30 blueberries and 30 blackberries. And you really only need like 5 or 6 berries to fill up and hydrate. So that turns into 5 days of food. And also, you know, there's other sources too. You can boil water like you see here. You can eat berries that you run into. You can eat certain kinds of mushrooms. The puffer and deer mushroom. The puffer mushrooms actually say they're poisonous, but they're not. You can eat as many puff mushrooms as you want, and you will not get sick. The deer and puffer mushrooms look very similar, and frankly, it doesn't really matter since they're both food. Whenever you empty the pot, it costs nothing just to fill it again. Now you've got another pot of polluted water that you can use to hydrate by building a fire. But the key is, now that we have the stick bag, we can always make fires and shelters. And there's nothing more safe than that. If you're being pursued by cannibals, you can just run away until you lose them. And if it's night, you can just build a shelter and sleep. You can, if you build your shelter too close to cannibals, it will wake you up before you get a full night's sleep. But it doesn't usually kill you right away. So if that does happen, just figure out where the cannibals are and run away from them. It'll probably be late at night though. So actually the roughest thing about night is if you get wet, you automatically get cold. And so you don't want to you don't want to be stumbling around at night, because you could very easily fall into a pond, and that'll make you wet, and then you'll start to freeze. And so if it's late at night, you can't sleep, and you're starting to freeze, you have to make a fire. Actually, one thing you can do, which is better than making a fire, is you can light either your improved stick, or you can light your plain axe that's got a cloth wrapped around it, and that will prevent you from freezing. And that's a very important strategy if you're running around at night. But once we have all the cloth, we can then make armor, and once we have armor, we get much safer. So if you get a hard hit from a cannibal, it can destroy one entire armor. But if you maneuver right, you can avoid getting hit most of the time. And so if you get hit full on at full health, you'll lose half of your health. If you get hit full on again after that, you'll die. But if you're dodging it, or it'll mitigate the damage, and you can take 3. Your 4th hit is going to kill you. So if you're dodging and maneuvering, each piece of armor gives you a couple of extra hits that you can take before you die. But right now the important thing is getting that stick bag almost full. So now at this point we have 18 sticks. and plenty of leaves, so in a worst case scenario, we can build a shelter anywhere at any time. And that's the power of the stick bag. Shelter anywhere, anytime. So in this cave, this is pretty much one of the best caves in the game because you can find almost everything you need in here. There's tons of sticks. You can go from 0 to 20 sticks by thoroughly exploring this cave. These guys here are usually asleep or immobile, and the technique that I'm demonstrating here is how you can easily kill them. Once you have the bow, just stop using the lighter once you get to that cannibal marker that we passed. So these guys are inactive, and inactive cannibals die from any shot. Any hit will kill it. And luckily they don't make any noise when they die, so a dying cannibal doesn't wake up his buddy. So you can just one-shot both of them, as you saw there. And you're done. The cannibals in this cave never respawn, so the route I used to get into here is completely safe. And thankfully they also left us all their bones, which is just amazing and very generous of them. It'll help us armor ourselves against their buddies. These are blue guys, by the way, so if you don't surprise them, they're particularly nasty, and you have to headshot them, because if you don't, the blue guys take, I think, 6 or 7 arrows. I've seen 8. Could be 8 arrows in other parts of their body before they die. But this cave has arrows in it, so there's no downside to expending all your arrows. The thing about this cave that makes it so awesome is that everything in it except the dynamite respawns when you leave the cave. So and the blue guys. The blue guys don't respawn, and the dynamite doesn't respawn. But everything else, the arrows, the duct tape, the rope, the paint, the medicine, everything else respawns, including the axe. So you can have axes all over the place, but it doesn't matter since you can always carry a modern axe with you. But anyway, we make some armor. I'm going to set up a drying rack here just so that this completes the cave as a haven, just adding 4 days worth of food. So those 4 meat items, it's basically 4 days worth of food. So again, you saw the sticks coming in. There's actually more sticks in other places in the cave. There's also cloth, and then now you have food, so you can make shelters and eat food. You could literally stay in this cave for 3 or 4 days. And again, as soon as you leave the cave and then go back in, everything resets. So all these arrows, the dynamite does not though. But it's unlimited arrows, unlimited duct tape, unlimited soda, unlimited everything but dynamite, unlimited rope. And so we're making a small rock bag. I had said that the next 2 would be a pouch, but at this point I changed my mind and decided the small rock bag might as well make it so we could carry the extra rope. So we're full of soda and short a circuit board, so now we got all the circuit boards. Circuit boards all reset also. A couple of really key things that reset are arrows and the red paint. Every time you leave the cave and come back, the red paint and the arrows replenish. And so you'll never run out of arrows, ever. And when I say replenish, I mean you have to actually leave the cave system. Just going to a different part of the cave doesn't do it. You have to You have to go through the entrance that we came in. But another good thing is that this cave is connected to the cave at the main cannibal village, which has the map and compass, notably, as well as some meds and a flamethrower, the hairspray. And so once you get in here, there's only one blue guy who's usually asleep between where you are and the cave at the main cannibal village. And so right now we're just going to kill that one mutant. And you can see that another principle is always build whatever you can, because you're always going to find more stuff, and it just lets you carry more. And it's always better to build something before you need it than need it and not have it. So what I'm doing here is just looking for other loose stuff like the money, more cloth. There's always stuff laying around in the caves, more sticks. Got the booze. So there's other parts to the cave. There's one cave that's called the Booze Cave, but that has three blue cannibals in it, and it's debatable as to whether it's necessary. If you're a completionist, you need to go there for the Timmy picture, but there isn't anything else in there except booze and sticks, and frankly you don't need any of that stuff. And the cave I'm talking about doesn't lead anywhere else. Also connected to this complex is the Baby Cave. The Baby Cave has one of the cassettes in it, but unless you're being a completionist collector, you don't really need the cassette, and there's nothing in the Baby Cave that's worth taking the risk of fighting Virginia and a bunch of babies in the dark. Although that fight is pretty easy with explosives and fire arrows. So right now I'm collecting sticks. If you go into this part, which is adjacent to the Booze Cave, you can get 3 snacks and the doll head. You don't really need any of that stuff. It's just interesting to put the doll together. But we do get more sticks. And getting that stick bag up to 20 should always be one of your top priorities. Because like I said, with a bag with 20 sticks, you can make a shelter and a fire anywhere, at any time. So that's the blue guy that I mentioned earlier. That's between the Goody Cave and the cave underneath the main cannibal village. So if you just wait, if he can't see you, he'll just go to sleep. Then you can sneak up on him and shoot him. For some reason this arrow missed. I think it hit a cave wall. So I also had a hard time maneuvering, and I don't know why. I usually don't. I may have not been exactly where I thought I was. But anyway, there's only that one blue guy there, and if you can just get a clean shot at him, he dies, and then the cave is basically all yours. And we're up to 4 armor. This will give us another armor. You can see that my energy is dropping. The 2 blue bars on the right, the outer one is your max, and the inner one is your current. And since I haven't got the flamethrower yet, I'm just going to build a fire and throw his body on it. If you put the fire in the right place, it'll light up the whole cave. And then you can see everything that's around you. You don't need flares or stuff like that. Chicory is what you eat when you have low energy. Because as I said earlier, you're never going to run out of chicory. Chicory respawns real fast too. So even if you go through an area and take all the chicory, just come back in a couple of days, it'll all be back. And you can always collect more chicory than you can eat for any effect. So there's never a downside to eating chicory. You're never gonna run out of it. And as you see, chicory fills up your stomach and also provides energy. And so here, I don't like leaving a rope behind early in the game, so I'm just gonna build something. I think I decided on the crafted axe. You don't really need the crafted axe because you have the modern axe, but it's a way to build something and get the space for the rope. In retrospect, I probably could have built something else, but I was kind of in a hurry. So pick up the bones and make armor, and then the next step is to make your way to the cave beneath the cannibal village. And it's without the map, it's easy to get disoriented. And I went off going the wrong direction once here. I ended up going back to the goody cave. And so down there where the skull is the baby cave. Like I said, early in the game, there's really not a great reason to go there. It's just circuit boards and some small stones, and that stuff's all like in the world. You don't need to go to the baby cave for that. So I looped around here and eventually found the right cave that takes us to the cave that's under the cannibal village. And when you hear the water, you know you're going the right direction. Now I'm going pretty fast because I generally know the caves really well. But in this case, I had to orient myself a little bit better. So once you go up this rope, that puts you into the cave in question. And this cave is the one below the cannibal village. Incidentally, if you're playing a solo game, the way death works in the solo game is the first time you're killed, you're actually not dead, you're incapacitated, and they drag you to this cave. So this is kind of like acknowledged by the game as an early game cave, which is why it's safe. Cannibals will never show up down here. At least I have never seen the cannibals show up down here. So right here I'm making Molotovs, and once you have plenty of cloth, you should always make as many Molotovs as you can. I never use Molotovs as much as I should. They actually have a lot of uses. One of the main uses is that you can make a Molotov-style landmine out of Molotov sticks and cloth. It's actually really useful. The only downside to it is that you can set it off yourself, and so you can't just put it everywhere and expect to be safe. In hard survival, if you burn yourself with your own Molotov mine, it can be fatal. And there's nothing more depressing than avoiding death for days and days and days, and then stepping on your own landmine and dying. But anyway, since it's dark out, and since it can't be too much worse, we can build a shelter because we had a full stick bag. And luckily, look at that. It just hit sleep. So this is perfect. Okay, so now the stick bag is close to empty. And the top priority is getting that stick bag full again. Because a full stick bag greatly increases your chances of survival under all conditions. So the way I set it up is The bow I take as my my left arrow quick save space, and the spear I take as my down arrow quick save space. And so what I'll do is I'll normally travel with the slingshot to be able to take advantage of hunting rabbits and lizards. And then if something more severe shows up, like a cannibal or a mutant or something, I switch to the bow. And if I need to hit a suitcase, which become rarer and rarer as the game goes on, then I'll switch to the spear. The spear is also good for keeping cannibals at bay. If you act like you're going to throw a spear, they tend to run away or dodge it. If you pull a spear out and stab them a couple times, sometimes they'll just run away. In hard survival, it's not likely you're going to kill something with a spear, unless you throw the spear. But it's best not to throw the spear because they're good at dodging the spear. And so once you do that, you're sitting there barehanded, and the cannibal is going to attack you. So really, the only good way to fight cannibals is with a bow and arrow. The katana is practically useless in hard survival because it doesn't do enough damage to kill a cannibal quickly. And again, I can't emphasize enough how important it is to be good at using the bow and arrow to get headshots. Okay, and so we still haven't eaten food yet. Never pass on fish. Fish are great because they fill you up completely if they're fresh, and they are a few hundred less calories than the other red meat. But like I said, if this is one of your first times playing hard survival, I wouldn't even worry about calories at this point. Later on, late game, if you're trying to get fit, then just eat berries and mushrooms and don't eat red meat, and your calories will work themselves out as long as you're always sprinting. And aside from cowmen, which are the most dangerous mutants, you can outrun all the other kinds of mutants. And that's why it's important to also craft the herbs. So craft the healing herbs and craft the energy herbs. But like I said, early in the game, it doesn't matter because you have plenty of soda, you have plenty of snacks, and those are very fast energy. And like I said, once you get that third or fourth rabbit, you can build a pouch. And once you have the pouch, you can just collect berries. And then once you have 60 berries, you're never going to worry about food or hydration ever again, because you'll always have enough berries, and berries are prominent enough that there isn't any real reason to run out of berries. Okay, normally people get scared when they see this many cannibals, but if you have the red paint on, they won't attack you unless you attack them. And you can, and everyone you kill is another set of armor. And armor is one of your priorities in early game. Once you have the bow and armor, then you're pretty much never going to die unless you screw up a combat. If you can get headshots, then that means you'll be able to stay armored. Once you get all the cloth here, you basically never run out of cloth again. My advice is never make rope out of cloth. You can in an emergency, and an emergency is an emergency, right? So like if it's that or dying, then go ahead and spend the cloth and make the rope. but there's ropes all over the place. There's ropes in that goodie cave that we went into. There's a couple of different areas where you can just find tons of rope. And it also doesn't hurt to collect feathers from birds, the small meat, take it or leave it. So you're also building drying racks and should be leaving meat all over the place so that whenever you have to come back through here, you don't need to worry about food. And don't forget about berries solving the hydration problem. But, I mean, as you can see, the whole concept is just kill everything, take all of its stuff until you're full. Keep moving. Get all the cloth. And again, rabbit pelts are very important. And it hasn't rained since we got the red paint in the other cave. So if you don't know, the red paint causes the cannibals to hesitate to attack you. If you just stand your ground, sometimes they'll even kneel and start chanting. That's what the red paint does. The effects of the red paint are overridden. I mean, they're negated if you attack the cannibal. So if you're wearing red paint and then you haul off and shoot or kill a cannibal, then they will just attack you and ignore the red paint. I am not certain if that means that just that cannibal family ignores you, ignores the red paint for the rest of the game, or just that one group. Excuse me. I've seen evidence in both directions. But I also know that the AI doesn't behave consistently. It's programmed to have lots of variation. So once it starts raining, the red paint is gone instantly. Did you see that? I'm no longer red man. But I did get that other rabbit pelt. And once I get this one, I'll have enough to make a pouch. And once you have the stick bag, the small rock bag, and the pouch, you got it all. Because now you can just farm berries and all your food and hydration worries are gone. So at this point we have the pouch, we have plenty of food, we have a stick bag, we have bow and arrow, and we know where we can always get more arrows. We have the modern axe, and now that we have the pouch, whenever you see something you can collect it. It's a no-brainer. Just keep collecting until it tells you can't collect anymore. And I'm making some poison arrows just to demonstrate what the twin berries let you do. Another principle is if you're full of something and you find more of it, see if you can craft something with the stuff that you have and then top it off with what you found. So that way you're kind of pushing everything through your backpack. And if you're always full of everything, then you're an awful lot safer. There's no carry limit like in some games. The limitation on what you can carry is a matter of quantity per item. So, for example, you can only carry 10 or 20 sticks, never more, no matter how much other stuff you have or don't have. And the most you can carry is 60 berries, 30 blueberries, and 30 blackberries. So you just want to keep collecting blueberries and blackberries until it tells you you're full. And then once that occurs, No more food and hydration problems. So the cannibals in this village are asleep in the beginning until you wake them up. I hear another cannibal, actually. So I just did a little dodge. And that should top off our armor. And once you have the hairspray, you can use it like a flamethrower. That just saves you from having to use sticks to build a fire. And again, that's an extremely important feature because you can cook down an unlimited number of cannibals and not have to use any sticks. Now the flamethrower, the hairspray, does run out, but it also respawns every place you can get it. So whenever you run out of hairspray, you can just go back to any of the caves that you can get it in, and it'll be back. There isn't anything in the game that I can think of that's an actual limited quantity. Most of the stuff in the game respawns, and having said that, everything doesn't respawn everywhere. There are certain things, like the dynamite in the Goody Cave. The dynamite generally doesn't respawn. But the wristwatches respawn. There's a cave where you can get unlimited wristwatches, a cave where you can get unlimited circuit boards, unlimited duct tape. The coins you'll never run out of. I've never come close to running out of coins. The limitation of making explosives is usually duct tape. I just haven't run into any wristwatches yet. But until the mutants appear, it's not that big a deal. Well, so anyway, this is it. So we have the first hour in the forest, and we have everything. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care.